Hi there, friends. So this season of Sukkot has been such an amazing time of just delving deeper, being led by Ruach into greater revelation, greater information, greater understanding of things that um, we have always known or seen. Not everything has been that, but um, new insight. And I've noticed as well that the veil has been so thin and just been so like an open heaven, just so much that Father Abba is pouring down on us as we ask Him, and as we ask Him to lead us into truth and righteousness. He is faithful to do that. So one of those truths and one of those things that has been um, given to me during this season is more revelation and understanding about who we are, who you are, and who you are in the grand scope of things, and who you are in this time, and who you are for this time, and understanding that we have really forgotten our identity. We've forgotten our identity. We've forgotten who we really are. And so He's bringing back a revelation of those things into our lives during this season. And so I'm going to share with you, this shouldn't be a very long video, but I'm going to share with you some of those revelations about who we really are. So, as I was preparing my message for Sukkot, I began to look deeper into what the scriptures were actually saying. And when my message was going was under the radar, it was still in the research mode, I began to look at Moshe deeper and where he went from Mizraim to Midian. And I started looking at the word Midian, and I wanted to understand better this place called Midian. And understanding that Midian was in the desert place. And so I asked Father a question. I said, well, where is Midian and where did it come from? How did it get there? And then he told me, well, look. So that's what I did. I started looking, and I am so grateful because his words tell us that he who seeks shall find. And so when you begin to seek and when you begin to look at things deeper than the surface of what they appeared to be, we begin to find even greater understanding and greater truth. So here in Devarim 25, Bereshit 25. So Bereshit 25, Genesis 25, is where my search brought me in seeking and searching for Midian. So I began to ask myself, who is Midian? Because back in those days, cities were named after sons, they were named after men, they were named after rulers. And things haven't changed very much because if you look around your city streets, we can also see that the streets are also named after presidents, after men in history. So things haven't changed much. We just continue to, this life continues to be a repetition of things that have already been, because as the scriptures say and also prove to be true, is that nothing is new under the sun. So that continues to stand as truth. So my search took me to Bereshit 25. Now, if you ever have wondered about everything that we've been told and everything that we have known, this life is like an onion. And that onion has many layers. And in order to get to the foundation, the core of that onion, you have to go through those layers. And as you go through those layers, you feel the intensity of the scent of that onion. And as you cut into that onion, sometimes it even brings tears. Sometimes it brings irritation. Sometimes it brings a reckoning. And so life is like that onion, where we pull back those layers to see what the root of that matter really is. And so we're always told about the two sons of Abraham, but we're never, and so we get that these two sons had many other sons, and that is what makes up the tribe of Yisrael, the people of Israel, and the Arabs, and so on and so forth. However, where did the rest of us go? Where did the rest of us come from? So, where did we come from? Whose descendants are we? Where did we come from? Who are we? It's a big question. Do you think the enemy wants you to know who you are? Do you think the enemy wants you to know your identity? Let's look at something really quick before we go to Bereshit 25. Listen to this. In Bereshit 17, let's start in verse 1. And it came to be when Abraham was 99 years old that Yahuah appeared to Abram and said to him, I am El Shaddai, the most powerful, who created all things. Okay? Walk before me and be perfect. That word perfect right there means be like me. Be like me. Now we know, if we look further in the English translation of the word perfect, it means to be complete. Be complete, he's saying. Walk before me and be complete. Verse 2, and I give my covenant between me and you, and shall greatly increase you. And Abram fell on his face, and Elohim spoke with him, saying, As for me, look, my covenant is with you, and you shall become a father of many nations. Many nations. And no longer is your name called Abram, but your name shall be Abraham. So here he added the ha, the breath, the life. First it was Abram, now it's Abraham. So he added his breath, he breathed his breath, he put his ha, his breath, his spirit inside of him. Therefore his name could no longer just be Abram. Now remember, this is just the English. Okay, this is just what we're getting out of the English translation. If we go deeper, this would be a whole nother video, a whole nother series, a whole nother revelation. But I'm just going to stick with the English translation because there's much here already. He says, I will make you a father of many nations. Verse 6, and I shall make you bear fruit exceedingly, and make nations of you, and sovereigns shall come from you. Notice, he said sovereigns, not just sovereign, because we know Yahushua is sovereign. But he says here, I will make sovereigns, plural, come from you. Verse 7, and I shall establish my covenant between me and you and your seed after you in their generations. So he's saying, yes, it said your seed, not seeds, but he said your seed. But after that, he says in their generations, plural, generations. For an everlasting covenant, that means forever, to be Elohim to you and your seed after you. And I shall give to you and your seed after you the land of your sojournings, all the land of Canaan, as an everlasting possession, and I shall be their Elohim. And Elohim said to Abraham, as for you, guard my covenant, you and your seed after you throughout their generations. Generations. What is the covenant? And you shall, verse 11, you shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall become a sign of the covenant between me and you. And the son of 8 days is circumcised by you, every male child in your generations. So the sign of the covenant is the circumcision. Okay? Now, when I first started looking at this, I'm like, that's really interesting, because circumcision is like a big deal in the hospitals, right? They're always trying to circumcise your son. So you have to actually, they don't do it on the 8th day. They do it, I believe they do it on the 3rd day. But it just varies. It just varies. But they do circumcise the children. And so I was like, that's interesting. Maybe they're trying to confuse everyone. Maybe they're trying to confuse everyone. I haven't really had clarity on that. But then I started looking at Midian. So let's go to Midian now. Let's find out. Where is this place in the wilderness that Moshe went to, met the priest, his priestly name being Reuel, meaning friend of Elohim. And so he was calling out upon the name of Elohim. He had 7 daughters, one Sephora, named Sephora, who married Moshe. So Moshe, coming from the priestly Levite family, married into a priestly family from Midian, and everyone coming from their father Abraham. Bereshit 25. And Abraham, verse 1, listen to this. And Abraham took another wife, whose name was Keturah. What? We never hear about Keturah. How come we never hear about Keturah? Let's go up once. Bereshit 24, verse 67. And Yitzchak brought her into his mother's tent, into Sarah's tent, and he took Rebekah, and she became his wife, talking about Yitzchak and Rebekah, and he loved her. Thus Yitzchak was comforted after his mother's death. So Sarah had just died. Now we go to chapter 25, which it's not a new chapter, it's just the chapter that the translators put in. Should go ahead and it should be verse 68 or whatever. So the translators put these chapters in, right? Confuses people a little bit, but it also gives it some structure so that we can find scriptures quickly. So it all works out. Verse 1, chapter 25, and Abraham took another wife whose name was Keturah. Now, the name Keturah means incense. It means to produce pleasant smoke. Also, a distribution of society's surplus. That's interesting. So, verse 2. Now, listen to this. Keturah bore Abraham Zimran, Yokshan, Midian, Yishbak, and Shuach. 6 sons. 6 sons. Keturah, the second wife of Abraham, made a covenant relation through marriage with Abraham, entered into covenant relationship with Abraham through marriage. Right here. And not only did she enter into covenant relationship with Abraham, but she bore Abraham 6 sons, the last son being Shuach. Yahuah? I don't know. Just some things to meditate on. The 4th son she had, his name was Midian. Now Midian went to Midian and created Midian, where Moshe went as an exile, as a fugitive, where they made the well in the desert, and Reuel, the friend of Yahuah, became a priest in Midian. Let's look at some of the names' meanings of her sons. This is vital. This is important. We only ever hear about the 2 sons. We didn't know Abraham. Abraham had 8 sons. Ishmael, the son of self-manifestation, of fear, of anxiety, because they were trying to work out the covenant on their own. Through the daughter of Pharaoh, she was a princess. Hagar was a princess. Given to Sarah from Pharaoh, he gave his own daughter. He feared them so much because of the striking that was happening to him, because he took Sarah as his own without knowing that she was Abraham's wife. Then when he realized the curse that was upon him for doing that, he feared Abraham and Sarah, and he acknowledged them as even being mighty Elohim. He revered Abraham and Sarah so much that he gave his own daughter, the princess, to Sarah. Hagar, she bore Ishmael. And then, of course, Sarah in Abraham in her old age bore Yitzhak, Isaac. But after Sarah died, Abraham takes Keturah, pleasant incense, pleasant smoke. She produced pleasant smoke. She was society's surplus. And Keturah bore 6 more sons to Abraham. Where has this been? Where has this been? We've not heard about this. We've not heard about this. Okay, let's look at her son's name's meaning. So we have the firstborn, who is Zimran. And his name meaning is one who makes music, one who prunes, and also like a vine. Then we have Yokshan, one who sets a snare. Is also meaning a fowler, or to lay a snare. Then we have Midian. Now Midian and Midian, their name meanings are very similar and may mean about the same thing: strife, judgment, to govern. We'll go back to that in a second. Then we have Yishbak, meaning he releases, he will forsake, or leaving. Then we have, last but not least, we have Shuah, meaning brought low, prostration, a cry, and also prosperity. Isn't that interesting? Wow. Now, Midian began to be very great eventually. But let's go back to Midian really quick. Now, Yethro, now Midian, remember, meaning judgment, to govern, also strife. Now, one of Yethro, now Reuel and Yethro are the same people, okay? So they were both Yethro, and Yethro's Reuel. So either way, he was the father-in-law of Moshe through marriage to Sephora. Sephora and Moshe bore Gershom, the firstborn. Gershom was the firstborn's name, meaning I am a sojourner in a foreign land. So he was bearing fruit in the foreign land. But he was also recognizing who he was and where he was. Getting back, though, to Yethro, now, the Midianites were of nomadic roots. They were nomads. They knew their way around the desert because of their nomadic ways. Eventually, they set up this well in Midian, in the wilderness, in the desert, and it was a popular spot. Any place that had a well in the desert was popular. And I also have heard and read and researched that, these places that are now desert lands, where they used to roam and travel, these used to be lush lands. They used to be lush, green, water. Here we have Yethro coming from the lineage of Midian, meaning to govern, meaning judgment. He was wise. He was wise. He even came to Moshe in the desert after they had, gone into the desert, and advised Moshe to set up judges over the people so that Moshe would not wear himself out. So here we see a manifestation of the name of the tribe that he was from. And also, his word was pleasing to Moshe. His advice was pleasing. But it's just so interesting that we've never heard about the 6 sons of Abraham. Let's go down here. And one more thing that's also interesting is in verse 3 of Bereshit 25 and verse 4, we only hear about the sons from Yokshan and only about the sons of Midian. And everything is in here for a reason. The sons of Midian were Ephah, Epher, and Hanak, like Enoch, Abidah, and Eldaah. These were and all these were the children of Keturah. Yokshan brought forth Sheba, like Sheba, Dedan, and then it talks about the sons of Dedan were Ashurim, where we get the name Asherah, but I'm pretty sure that there was an Asher before the flood. And then we have Letushim and Leumim. So we have all of these generations that are recorded right here from the second covenant wife of Abraham. We never hear about them. Now Abraham gave all that he had to Yitzhak, to the son of promise, the son that was promised to Abraham. But to the sons of the concubines whom Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts while he was still living, and he sent them away from his son Yitzhak eastward to the land of the east. And then it says, all these are the years of Abraham's life, which he lived, 175 years. And he breathed his last breath and died in good old age. Isn't it interesting? Now, the only sons that buried Abraham were Yitzhak and Yishmael. So these were the sons that were they were involved. The scriptures talk about them a lot. That doesn't denote the fact that 6 more sons came from his bosom, were circumcised, bearing upon their flesh the sign of the covenant. So these sons of covenant passing down this circumcision and these traditions, these teachings, all the way to Midian and Reuel, eventually marrying Moshe, but all coming from the father Abraham. Now I ask us again, who are we? We are from the seed of Abraham. These sons had sons, and their sons had sons and daughters and children and generations and seed. We are sons and daughters of covenant, of promise. He says, my covenant is everlasting, and it shall be in their generations. So how much more now that we can look back and say, we are of this family. We may not be of the tribe of this or that, but our roots are in Father Abraham. We are the children of covenant. How much more should we enter into obedience, into those commands, into those promises, into those berachas, into His way. We are. And perhaps, the evil ritual of circumcision, yes, it is a ritual happening in the hospitals. Perhaps it is being done because the enemy uses those foreskins for evil, but also whatever he does for evil, Yahuah can turn it around for his good. And circumcising the children, because it is still the sign of the covenant, because we are a part of this family. We can enter in with boldness, not only being grafted in, no, but being of the seed in the generations. A covenant forever. Not told, hidden. Understanding our identity and recognizing our place in this family. Coming into this family and understanding that we are, our identity is true. And the son, the last son, the youngest son of Keturah being Shuach. We are the children, the people of Yahuah. We are partakers of this covenant, not only because of Hamashiach, but because of our very lineage going back, coming from the loins of Father Abraham. Hallelujah! The truth brings so much life. And I believe that this revelation is being brought forward now, because it was always here. But now it's being brought to the forefront. Not only 12 tribes. And I know some people say, well, there is the secret 13th. Well, who cares? There's actually 8 sons. No need looking for a secret 13th tribe. 8 sons. 7 sons of covenant marriage. 1 son of fear and anxiety and self-manifestation, but 7 sons of covenant marriage. 7 sons of covenant marriage. Hallelujah. And this is just the English translation. If we were to really dig into the roots, what would we find? I haven't been able to do that yet because I needed to get this video out, but I am so excited. 7 sons of covenant marriage from the Father, spread out into the land, sent out. We are the children of everlasting covenant. Not just through Isaac or Ishmael, but through Zimran, Yokshan, Midian, Yishbak, and Shuach. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! How exciting! How exciting! We don't have to send our DNA, our spit, or our blood to anybody. We can look in the scriptures and see it right here. We are these children from our father Abraham. 7 sons of covenant marriage. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Now enter into that covenant with boldness. Enter in with boldness and with truth, saying, knowing, I am in this. I am a part of this. I am an Ibri. You know, Abraham was the first to be called an Ibri, a Hebrew. We are Ibrim. We are Hebrew. We are the Hebrew, the Ibrim people. All of us. Hallelujah. Now let's enter into the promises, enter into the commands, enter in with boldness, knowing we are Ibrim, because our father was the first Ibrim. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. That's all I have for today. I hope you go and you just do your own studies and run with this. Run with it. Because we are excited. Our identities are being brought back. Being brought back. Given new, fresh understanding of who we are and what that means. Take this home and pray. And ask Abba to give you revelation and add to this revelation. Because it is revelation. Hallelujah.